Welcome back to Lead. Staying with politics now, we have lots to talk about with our political panel. Donald Trump national spokeswoman Katrina Pearson, Battleground State Director for President Obama's 2012 campaign Mitch Stewart, and CNN's own conservative writer S.E. Cupp. Thanks one and all for being here. Katrina, let me start with you. We're told that Mr. Trump is leaning very strongly towards Mr. Pence, Governor Pence. Has he made the call yet? Has he made the decision or the phone call to whomever he's picking?
No, he has not yet. And there are a couple of people, actually, that he's trying to decide between, and he wants to give it as much thought as possible. Again, this has got to be someone who he thinks can help him push forward his vision to make America great again. And, you know, it's really not an easy decision. I mean, we're at a moment in our history where we need someone strong, we need someone tough, someone that can energize people as well, and Mr. Trump is taking all that in consideration.
Let me ask you, Katrina, is he taking into consideration this tweet from Governor Pence from last year, quote, calls to ban Muslims from entering the U.S. are offensive and unconstitutional, unquote. Does that give Donald Trump or the people around him, the brain trust, any pause? Pence has also criticized Trump for his remarks about his fellow Hoosier Judge Curiel. Those are not disqualifying disagreements?
No, not at all. You know, the governor was just responding to reports that he's heard. He did not talk to Mr. Trump about the policies or the reasons why he said what he said. So no, Mr. Trump has taken all things in consideration. All those are very important things. And he will be making his decision very soon.
All right, S.E., take a listen to House Speaker Paul Ryan ask today about Trump potentially picking Governor Pence.
It's no secret I'm a big fan of Mike Pence's. We're very good friends. I have very high regard for him. I hope that he picks a good movement conservative. Clearly, Mike is one of those.
You know Mike Pence. You've covered him. You spent some time with him. What do you think?
Well, Mike Pence, along with Chris Christie and Newt Gingrich, are experience picks. They are meant to reassure conservatives that it is safe to vote for Donald Trump. And that really kind of shows the weakness of Trump's position right now. If he were in a better position among conservatives, he could go with some kind of new voter Veep pick who could maybe help get to moderates and undecideds and independents, women, minorities, millennials. So I think that would be a better position to be in. He's not. So among those three, Mike Pence is certainly one of the most conservative, sober-minded, thoughtful, careful, compassionate, serious people that the Republican Party has. It's a good pick. If you're someone who is nervous, though, about Donald Trump's preparedness, I'm not sure the under ticket is going to really do much to sway you. Does anyone believe that Donald Trump is going to let the vice president, move him in a different direction? I doubt it. So for conservatives like me, it's kind of like asking, would you marry a jerk just because his older brother was cool? No, Mike Pence does not make Donald Trump a more stable candidate in my estimation.
It's an interesting metaphor. I've never heard that before. It's a scenario. We'll have to talk about some of your friends. Mitch, I wanted you to, let's take a look at a new national ad released today by the Clinton campaign showing young children watching Mr. Trump.
You can tell them to go themselves. I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody, and I wouldn't lose any voters, okay? It's like incredible.
They seem to be pursuing a strategy very, very focused, and I know that there are positive Hillary ads, but the Clinton campaign and allies seem to be focusing specifically on making this election a referendum on Donald Trump.
Yeah, and I think that's smart. And in fact, I think that ad was perfect, not only because of the messages that it plays out, the images that it has, but it's so well done that we're talking about it on CNN. It's all over my Twitter feed. It's all over my Facebook feed. And in this new media environment, you have to have creative content that is sticky, that attracts eyeballs.
That pops.
And this does. And you can't just rely on paid TV anymore to get your message out there.
Katrina, your response to that TV ad?
Well, look, Hillary has no choice. I mean, she has to go negative against Mr. Trump. I mean, you look at the polling that's come out today. It's quite obvious that everyone that has counted Mr. Trump out early on in a general election have been proven wrong. He is actually polling very well against her. And she has to go negative because really, if she talks about her policies and tries to contrast when she's being honest about them, her policies are actually the policies that have failed in the past. It's always more money, more government intervention, and that has failed miserably. She has no choice but to go negative. And I'll say this, Mr. Trump hasn't run a single ad yet, and he is still winning in swing states now, and that tells you everything you need to know.
Yeah, the one thing I find remarkable about this is we're saying that this is a negative ad, and what is it? It's children watching his remarks. There's no spin on the ball here. This is literally replaying things that he has said, and we all think it's a negative ad.
Yes, it's asking, are we nominating, are we electing a president that your children and your family would be proud of, which is actually, I think, what a lot of people think of when they go to the ballot box. If he were smart politically, Donald Trump would come back and say, look, these are troubled times. Politics isn't kid stuff. Running the country and turning the country around is not for kids. So if you're worried about what your kids are going to think, close their eyes.
Katrina?
And you're right, Essie. No, Essie is absolutely right. That's exactly why when he does talk out into the crowd, he says, they complain about my tone. They complain about X, Y, or Z. But you know what? We don't have time for tone.
It's a smart line.
We are in a crisis. We are in a crisis right now. We don't have time for political correctness. We don't have time to sugarcoat the problems we're facing. And that's what Mr. Trump says over and over again, because he's absolutely right. Hillary Clinton can pull things out of context and create negative ads all day long. It doesn't change the fact that she is a well-known liar when it comes to policies and people dying under her watch. She's just got caught lying to Congress recently. You cannot hide that by creating more negative ads against your opponent.
I think the reaction that people are experiencing is that we should be embarrassed by the Trump candidacy. And the reason why that is coming out right now is we're watching young children listen to the things that he is saying. And we know it's not American. It's not leadership. It's not who we are as a country. And that's why I think everyone feels that this is a negative ad. It's his words. There's no spin on it.
It is an uncomfortable ad, though, I have to say, because you do think, oh, boy, I don't know if any of these 3-year-olds or 4-year-olds should be listening to this.
Right. I agree.
Look, it's very smart of
Katrina,
it's very smart of Trump to talk about tone and contrast, like, you know, people getting beheaded and they're talking about my tone. That's smart. What's not smart is the policy proposals that follow. And that's what can also be, what I also think is embarrassing for a lot of Americans who care about the country, and the lessons that we're going to teach our kids about electing someone who looks back with nostalgia at things like Operation Wetback. That is embarrassing.
Katrina?
Well, this is not a child's game, first of all. These are very serious issues, and you have to talk about very serious issues in a way that gets the attention, and that's what Mr. Trump has been able to do. It's why he broke the record in primary turnout, because people hear him and they understand him because he understands them. So, having said that, with regard to the policies, you may not like the policies, but we should really be embarrassed that we as Americans have sacrificed ourselves at the expense of others, mainly so politicians can continue to obtain wealth and power at our own expense. Look at unemployment. Look at illegal immigration in this country. We have to get serious about this, and there is just no time for games.
You're talking about somebody who is reportedly worth $10 billion and has filed bankruptcy multiple times. If there's a politician in this race who has gotten rich,
at all.
Okay, the companies that he owns have filed bankruptcy multiple times. Your comments are directed at Donald Trump, not at any other politician in this race.
All right. Thank you so much, Katrina, Mitch, SC. Good stuff. Appreciate it. Then.